The fake 911 call. On May 22, 1970, a woman called 911 in St. Paul, Minnesota. She reported a medical emergency at a residential address. The dispatcher sent a patrolman and his partner to the scene. It appeared to be a routine call. Someone needed help. The officers responded immediately. The patrolman and his partner arrived at the address shortly after midnight. The neighborhood was quiet. Streetlights illuminated a typical residential block. Nothing appeared unusual. The house matched the address given in the dispatch. He stepped out of the patrol car, while his partner remained at the vehicle momentarily to radio their arrival. He walked across the front yard toward the door. He followed standard procedure. Approach the residence, knock, identify himself as police, and assess the medical situation. He had no reason to suspect danger. Medical assists were common calls. What he did not know was that there was no medical emergency. The call was entirely fabricated. Across the street, hidden in darkness, a gunman waited with a rifle. He had been positioned there specifically to kill a police officer. The woman's voice on the 911 recording was part of a calculated plan. Get an officer to that exact location. Get him in the open. Get him in the crosshairs. He reached the front walkway. He was 15 feet from the door. Exposed. Vulnerable. A single rifle shot cracked through the night. The bullet struck Sackett. He collapsed onto the lawn. His partner heard the shot and saw him fall but could not identify where the shooter was positioned. The gunman remained concealed across the street, already fleeing into the darkness. Backup units arrived within minutes. Paramedics attempted to save him, but the wound was fatal. He died at the scene. Investigators quickly determined the call was a hoax. No one at the address had requested help. No medical emergency existed. The entire incident was an ambush designed specifically to murder a police officer. The killer was later identified as a member of a radical group targeting law enforcement. He was eventually arrested, convicted, and sentenced to life in prison. Rifle on a doorknob. On July 26, 1987, a sheriff drove to a mobile home near Kaplinger Mills, Missouri. He was investigating a burglary report in the area. It was a routine call, the kind he had handled hundreds of times before. The property sat at the end of a gravel road, surrounded by trees and farmland. Nothing about the scene suggested danger. He pulled up to the residence around 2 in the afternoon. The mobile home looked abandoned. No vehicles in the driveway, no lights on inside. He stepped out of his patrol car and walked toward the front door. Standard procedure. He would knock, announce himself, and check if anyone was home. What he did not know was that the property owner had installed a deadly trap. A .30 caliber rifle had been rigged directly to the inside doorknob. A length of wire connected the knob to the trigger mechanism. The weapon was positioned at chest height, aimed straight at the door. Anyone who turned the handle from outside would pull the wire. The rifle would fire automatically. The owner had set this device deliberately. It was designed to kill whoever entered uninvited. He reached the door. He knocked twice and identified himself as sheriff. No response. He waited. Still nothing. Following protocol, he reached for the doorknob to check if the door was unlocked. His hand gripped the metal handle. He turned it. The mechanism activated instantly. The wire pulled taut. The trigger engaged. The rifle discharged a single round through the wooden door. The bullet tore through the thin barrier at point-blank range. It struck him directly in the head. He collapsed on the doorstep. The impact killed him immediately. There was no time to react, no warning, no chance to step back. One moment he was doing his job. The next, he was gone. When backup officers arrived nearly an hour later, they found his body at the entrance. The door was still closed. Inside, the rifle remained wired to the knob, smoke still lingering in the barrel. The trap had worked exactly as intended. The Samar misencounter. On June 25, 2018, a unit of the Philippine National Police conducted operations in Samar, Philippines. The region was known for communist rebel activity. The officers were on patrol searching for insurgents who had been active in the area. They moved through dense jungle terrain where visibility was limited and enemy contact was always possible. At the same time, a unit from the Philippine Army was operating in the same region. They were under a different chain of command but had the same mission. Hunt down communist rebels, secure the area. Both units were heavily armed and trained to engage hostile forces on site. Neither group knew the other was nearby. There had been no coordination between the police and military units, no communication about their respective positions, no shared operational plan. Both teams moved through the thick vegetation, weapons ready, scanning for threats. The police unit spotted movement ahead through the trees, armed men in tactical positions, in rebel territory. They assessed the situation quickly. Insurgents. The officers took cover and prepared to engage. The army unit saw figures moving through the jungle, armed individuals advancing in formation. They made the same assumption. Communist rebels. They raised their weapons. The first shots were fired. Both sides immediately returned fire. Automatic weapons erupted from multiple positions. The jungle filled with the sound of gunfire, shouting, and chaos. Each unit believed they were winning a firefight against the enemy. They advanced and retreated tactically, using cover, throwing grenades, emptying magazines. The battle continued for several minutes. Men on both sides fell wounded. The intensity increased. Then someone noticed the uniforms, the equipment, the wrong gear for rebels. Realization spread slowly through both units. These were not insurgents. These were government forces. The shooting stopped. When the smoke cleared, 6 police officers lay dead on the jungle floor. Multiple others were wounded. They had been killed by their own military. Friendly fire, not from rebel bullets, but from the Philippine Army. The 6 men died because 2 allied units mistook each other for the enemy.